Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times, this Sunday, November 29, 2020. For today's editorial, the ASEAN's growing global stature is helpful to the Korean peace process. The ASEAN should use its growing influence to ensure peace and stability throughout the continent, particularly in the Korean Peninsula. The two countries there remain officially at war, although all-out fighting ceased after an armistice in 1953. Since then, the regional bloc has evolved from a small grouping of newly independent states to a significant regional intergovernmental organization. It is now known as the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, with 10 member states including the Philippines. In itself, the ASEAN has a combined gross domestic product, or GDP, of $3 trillion and a total population of nearly 650 million. And if the ASEAN were a country, it would be the 5th biggest in the world in economic terms and 3rd largest in population size. The ASEAN's growing prosperity and dynamic market have attracted other countries offering partnerships and cooperation. At the recent Leaders Summit, the ASEAN adopted the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, with China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. The countries involved account for 30% of global GDP and more than 25% of the world's exports. Once ratified by all its signatories, the RCEP will be the biggest free trade area in the world. Clearly, the ASEAN has a stake in maintaining peace and stability in the region, something that a rogue state can disturb. What makes North Korea particularly concerning is its possession of nuclear weapons and intercontinental ballistic missiles. Worse, interwoven geopolitical interests raise the possibility of drawing in some RCEP partners, namely China, Japan, and South Korea, and possibly the United States, in an unwanted conflict, especially if the regime in Pyongyang actually delivers on its threats. In recent years, the ASEAN contributed to the peace effort. Singapore hosted the first meeting between North Korea's supreme leader and an incumbent American president. Vietnam was the venue for the second summit. But those historic, albeit controversial meetings remained at an impasse, with the United States calling for denuclearization and North Korea demanding that economic sanctions be lifted first. With the U.S. administration now in transition, the ASEAN may have to pick up the slack in the work for peace. Even if Washington changes its policy on personally engaging Kim Jong-un, Southeast Asia should continue convincing North Korea to return to the negotiating table with the U.S. The ASEAN can use its growing economic and geopolitical clout to convince North Korea to give up its nuclear arsenal. Protection exists. North Korea's illicit weapons program is actually wasteful, as it offers a false sense of security. Some experts believe that North Korea clings to its nuclear arsenal to deter attacks by the US and its allies, including South Korea. But even without such weapons, North Korea enjoys the protection of China's and Russia's nuclear umbrella. In other words, North Korea has enough of a deterrent against foreign aggression, unless, of course, if it mistrusts its allies. North Korea should divert its resources to development programs. People there reportedly lack access to basic human needs such as food and healthcare. Many in Southeast Asia would like to build economic relations with North Korea, given the occasional violation of sanctions imposed by the United Nations. Perhaps the prospects of economic relations with the ASEAN can encourage North Korea to abandon its nuclear ambitions. North Korea should be able to trust the ASEAN, which has a track record for promoting peace in Southeast Asia. The regional bloc even signed the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, or TAC, with North Korea in 2008. Besides effective cooperation, the treaty principles include non-interference in internal affairs, as well as mutual respect for the independence, sovereignty, equality, territorial integrity, and national identity of all nations. In other words, the ASEAN is open for business and is friends to all, including North Korea. Even though it continues to ignore the TAC principle of renouncing the threat and use of force, the regional bloc maintains constructive engagement with Pyongyang. Sure, the ASEAN may be acting in its collective self-interest. Peace in the Korean Peninsula allows Southeast Asia to focus on development, Moving forward, the ASEAN should push North Korea harder to convince it to transform from being a disruptor of progress to a partner in prosperity. And that's the editorial for Sunday, November 29, 2020. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.